for joining our Digital Transformation Snacktime Snippets. I am Bill Marcial, Director of Enterprise Architecture. With me, I have the pleasure of having two of my colleagues. I have Titania, who is the Director of Application Architecture and Development, and I have one of the senior developers in our organization, Naeem, who is also an expert in SME and API security. So today, this morning, I'd like to talk a little bit about API security. The first question everybody has in their mind is, what is API security? So Naeem, can you tell us what is API security, and why do we have API security?
Well, Bill, thanks. Well, the API security means API security is the practice of protecting APIs from misuse and malicious attack. This is a straightforward definition.
But what does that mean?
The need is, see, nowadays API has been used in everywhere, right from the mobile app, desktop app, cloud app, everywhere the API will be used to communicate from one system to another system. So the data will be transferred across the network. So this data is our asset. We need to protect from the misuse and malicious attacks. So that's the reason we need to secure API basically. So we need to provide
how do you do that? How do you secure it? How do you make sure that people are not attacking and you don't get API attacks, right? The biggest concern that we have in today's technology is, we have SQL injections all over the place, right? Now with this new world of API microservices, they're going to start attacking APIs all over the place on microservices. So how do we secure them?
Well, that's fine. What we have a security goal actually to implement the security. That's called something called, there are various standards available. There is one standard, common standard will be used, that is called the CIA triad. So CIA triad means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So what is confidentiality? Which is nothing but to ensuring information can only be read by its intended audience only. And integrity, that which means preventing the unauthorized creation, modification, or destruction of information. And availability, so that we need to make sure always these services should be available for the legitimate user whenever they came to request for this. So these are the three very important components will be used to implement the security. This is the way we can implement the security. Yes.
Perfect. Titania, why API securities? What is the goal on securing the APIs? What is the ultimate goal of the organization to ensuring that the APIs have policies and security around them?
The ultimate goal of API security is delivering not only delivering the content to the end users and delivering the same content in a secure manner. As Naeem said, confidentiality and integrity and availability is the main thing. If you start with simple terms, confidentiality means, okay, the information what we are flowing between the users and the web services should not be disclosed to others, so others should not understand. So one way of achieving this is encryption. Integrity here is to make sure that the data is not tampered by anyone in between the end users.
So you're basically making sure that there's no vulnerabilities at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to achieve. Now, what is the most common vulnerability other than SQL injection that we see in API on a day-to-day basis? What are some of the issues that we're seeing and vulnerabilities that we're seeing?
Yeah, sometimes what programmers do is, suppose when you are preparing the dynamic queries, they will append the query parameters to the SQL queries to form the SQL queries. So when they are doing when the developers are developing such a way, so if the parameter contains some SQL statements or part of the SQL statement, it will append as a query and it will be executed by the database as a whole query. And the chances users will get more information than the application want to share with. That is one of the ways. Suppose an example, if the query is a select star from EMP, where condition is preparing by the dynamic queries, or like taking the query parameters, then it can be anything. User can pass anything as a query parameter. It will be appended as a where condition. So where 1 = 1. And that means all the information will be displayed from that table to the user.
Naeem, tell me about what are the best practices that we should be implementing to secure our APIs?
See, there are so many practices, but for a couple of practices to be discussed is one of the best practice what we can say is a data encryption. So the data encryption, what it does is it transfers the data from one form to another form, and that form can be only read by an intended user only. And broadly, there are two types of data encryption. One is called asymmetric encryption, and another one is called symmetric encryption. In case of asymmetric encryption, we have public key encryption, and which uses two different keys. And in case of symmetric key encryption, same secret key will be used to decrypt the data at the end users. This is one of the data encryption, which is a very common best practice we can use. Apart from this, there's another one. What we can use is authentication and authorization. This is one of the common best practice we will use. What is authentication? Authentication is the process of identifying the user and validating the user who is claiming that user. So that is the first step will be done. Later on, once a user is authenticated, then the authorization process, whatever the authorization that users have, only that places he will be allowed to access. So this authorization part will take care of.
All right, so let me ask you a question here, all right? I know that you're talking about authentication, authorization, and you're talking about encryption, but that applies to any IT data security practice, right? Where we have to encrypt our data to make sure that it is not being tampered with in motion or at rest. And authentication and authorization, you need to make sure that whoever you're giving access to the keys to the kingdom will truly have them. So tell me about other things that API security that is specific to APIs that we need to be aware of and make sure that's the best practice for securing the APIs.
There is something called the token authorization is available, where the token will be generated. Okay, that token will have all the information. Okay, and multiple times we can use that token. Okay, so in this case, to access a browser-based application, anything, so token will be used, and that token will have the user's credentials. And number of times when you request to that app, you need to send that token.
So you're basically saying that we should provide tokenization to these APIs to make sure that they're more secure.
Right, exactly. That's it.
So Chaitanya, tell me a little bit about, you've worked on various different APIs in the last decade or so in microservices. In the old days, you worked in the SOA technology. Tell me about what is some of the vulnerabilities that you're seeing with APIs, and what are some of the best practices that you think we should apply, especially in cloud environments?
Yeah, some of the vulnerabilities are cross-site scripting, XSS attack, and JSON injection, and XML injection, and throttling, and denial of service. So these are the some kind of vulnerabilities. In nowadays, most of the API gateways, basically, because the API gateways are the entry point for the organization's enterprise API access. So most of the API gateways are coming with these features, and more than this, as a policies. We can configure those policies to the API and secure them from all this kind of attacks.
And what do you think about monitoring? How should we be monitoring our APIs?
Yeah, so there are different kinds of different API gateways are coming with different monitoring requirements. Like most of the API gateways are giving how many requests are coming per minute, how many have got them success, how many got them are failure, and what is the reason to the failure, how many got failure with so and so HTTP status code, and is there any user anybody is trying to attack the API gateway? How many times that particular policy got rejected the request, and what is the reason for the failures? Everything you can see by the monitoring systems offering by these API gateways. So most of the cloud API, if you take the Azure or AWS or Google Cloud, all these API gateways are coming with their own monitoring mechanism for this. And we can very well integrate with other monitoring tools like implemented by the cloud vendors also.
Okay, perfect. Naeem, can you give me, can you show me how you would actually do tokenization? Is there some way I can see a small demo on how you would do tokenization?
Well, I can do it. Yes. Before that, just I would like to well, just I would like to share about I would to explain about the token what we generate, right? What is the structure of the token? The token, if you see, it will have the three parts that will be separated with the dot. The first part will be related to the header section, and the second part will have the payload information like the user credentials, what are the expiration date, all those things. And then the third part, it will have a the secret key which will be signed with that. So this kind of all this will contain one token. If you want to see the demo, let's see. This is my one of the Spring project which already this project is executing here. If you see here, I have one resource here. This is a controller, REST controller class. Here we have there is two endpoints. One is my aim is to access this endpoint /hello. When I try to hit the request, so since this project is already having a secure web based, and this we have already configured with this with this annotation like enable web security. When you provide this project will be a secure one. So until and unless, if you see when the user will request for the hello, here this what it does is this method configure, it will disable the CSRF, and then it will authorize all the requests from /authenticate, and then it will permit, and then if any other request which is coming from authenticate, it will has to go under the authenticated process. And here we are disabling the session as well, so that there should not be any session will be maintained. Okay, so this hello resource, if we want to access, first we need to access a authenticate endpoint. There we need to generate a token. That token we need to pass it again back to the along with the header. Then we can able to access. So let's see the demo. Just my application is already running here. Okay, now if I open a Postman, see here. Okay, this is the endpoint localhost, and this hello by passing this username. When I click on send, okay. See, already this token, I just before this I had generated the token, so I'm passing the token in this header authorization token, and this is a bearer, the value of the token I'm passing. If I remove this authorization token, and without this token, if I would like to request this, access this request, I will get an error like this: forbidden 403, forbidden, you are not authorized to access. So what I have to do is I have to access from this another endpoint authenticate. Here in this body, we need to pass the user credentials, and then we need to hit the post request. Then it will give us provide us one token. So this token we need to take. This is a token which I explained in the previous slide. The structure, it has a three separate all these. It has a payload, the header information, and one key signed with the key. So this token we have to use to access this endpoint. Here in the authorization in the header, the authorization parameter in this, we have to pass this token. When generating this token, we can provide a expiration duration, expiration date. So this token will be survived for the 2 hours. We have given the 2 hours time to generate. This 2 hours, this token will be valid. When I pass this token, and when I hit this request, then I will get a success response. Hello, and I welcome to Secure World. So this is how we can generate the token. Yes, Vidya.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Naeem. That demo was great. Thank you, Titania. Your information was very valuable. That concludes our digital transformation Snacktime Snippet. Come back next week for another digital transformation snippet.